What's up YouTube, Doa here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a requested update for Archfiend Regenesis. Now, don't let the Dragon Master Magia fool you. It is literally, the extra deck is slightly irrelevant. The only reason for Dragon Master Magia in this deck is because it's got 5,000 attack. It can be any target you want, but that's usually in here for stuff like Ultimate Slayer, but that just needs a fusion monster. And more so, we are playing the Dogmatic Punishment in the main deck, so that is just a 5k target, and just, I think Master Magia looks amazing right now. So that's the only reason it's there. It's not like a insane hybrid, so I want to make sure that that's crystal clear before we get started. So I'm just going to dive headfirst into the profile. I'm going to show you what we've got, explain why we've got it, and then kind of take you a breakdown into what this deck can do, especially when you're looking at post Blazing Dominion, where they get some more support, mainly the Archfiend cards themselves, and it's really where the Regenesis helps support this deck now, rather than anything else in between. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Starting off with the Archfiend cards themselves. Now, I've decided to max out an Archfiend Emperor. You don't have to. You can actually play less copies of this card if you wanted to. The idea is that it's still one of the ones that you do want to see. It means that one of your first searches can become a little bit more flexible. It also gives you a little bit more flexibility that you could do like quite a lot of searching. This deck does not respect draw whatsoever. Like the first search, you'll usually be sending your Archfiend Heiress from deck to grave, search over the back of that for one Archfiend monster. The idea is that that Archfiend monster will normal summon and then search out 2 more Archfiend cards. And then we are playing the most recent in the form of the Matador Archfiend, because it's an Archfiend card, and this one again will let you search 2 more copies. So it doesn't respect draw whatsoever. If you want to be very cautious against draw, I would highly advise you to look at Cross the Designator, Sales Ban. Heck, you could sometimes afford to actually use Kokimiru Guardian as your normal summon, but honestly, I just still really like the way that the cards work. And your Archfiend Emperor is like your ideal boss monster for the Archfiend cards, and really the only card you want to be summoning from the extra deck, but you do have some extra deck targets that are just generic that you could summon if you wanted to. So for clarity, what this card does, it lets you target one other face-up spell or trap card on the field, destroy both it and this card. Only use each effect once per turn. It can be ritual summoned by Throne of the Archfiend, and it must be ritual summoned, which means if it's in the graveyard, it can't be revived back. If it's in the extra deck, it can't just be special summoned out or pendulum summoned out. It has to be ritual summoned. Then on top of that as well, it's unaffected by other monster effects while it is specifically in the extra monster zone, which does give you a little bit of requirements, because to get a pendulum monster into the extra monster zone, it has to be summoned from the extra deck. So you have to ideally use its scale effect, or you need to do another effect to get it to the extra deck, which can be very tricky to do, or like awkward in an ideal scenario. If that was enough, on top of it is if it is ritual summoned from the extra deck, you get to banish all monsters on the field except in the extra monster zone. If this card in the extra monster zone, you can special summon a fiend monster from the hand, deck, grave, or banishment. Now, the reason this works well with the Regenesis is that it has 2,500 attack stats, so it means it could be a reveal, or it can be just on the field to allow you to push further forward it. Now, I like the idea of playing this as like a go second build, which is where you might consider be like maxing out on the Emperor is a no-brainer. I feel that going further and further through this list, that you might want to consider cutting down to Archfiend Emperor, and that will then open up the door to play other cards like Mortal Fulos if you wanted to, or you could play more Dogmatic Punishment. It gives you a bit more flexibility. Then the Archfiend card that you're definitely going to want to play 3 of, and that's going to be your Royal Archfiend. So this card is just pretty insane. It's the first search you want to go for, because this will be searched over the back of your Archfiend Heiress. But the idea behind your Royal Archfiend is you get to tribute this card from the hand or face-up field to add an Archfiend card from the deck to the hand except itself. You can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Archfiend monster, sorry. But you can normal summon a Fiend monster during your main phase this turn in addition to your normal summon or set, which is how you can get away by utilizing Kokimiru Guardian as well. Then on top of that as well is when your opponent would when your ritual monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the graveyard, you get to special summon this card. So if they do out your Archfiend Emperor, you actually get the ability to summon this guy back, which it doesn't share. It would be really nice if it had 2,500 stats, but it does actually share, and I'm pretty sure 2,400 and 1,000 is Monarch stats. But yeah. Carrying on with the rest of the Archfiends, we are playing 2 Duke Archfiend. So it gains attack equal to its level times 200, but the idea behind this one is it lets you target a face-up monster you control that has a level. You send an Archfiend monster from the deck to the grave except itself, and if you do, you increase that monster's level by the level of that monster. When you ritual summon monster is destroyed by battle and this card's in the grave, you get to special summon it. The idea is that this is just going to be a Foolish Burial for your Archfiend Heiress. Archfiend Heiress is if it is sent to the graveyard by card effect or by being destroyed by battle, you get to add an Archfiend card from the deck to the hand. So that's why you need to go normal summon down your Royal Archfiend, send your Archfiend Heiress, search out your Royal Archfiend, and then your Royal Archfiend discards itself, or tributes itself to be specific, to then search you out your Highness Archfiend, and that's where you get the additional normal summon, which is why you need to go through the Royal Archfiend, to then normal summon down your Highness Archfiend, to allow you to banish an Archfiend card from the graveyard to add 2 Archfiend cards from the deck to the hand, except itself. You can't special summon from the extra deck except Archery monsters, and then when your Ritual monster is destroyed by battle and this card is in the grave, you special summon it. But the idea is that you just circle through these cards nice and easily, and because it locks you out of special summoning from the extra deck, everything else like the Regenesis are completely fine, and they're mainly in here as the Archfiend, Regenesis Archfiend is an Archfiend that can be searched, but also on top of that, it gives you access to a Omni Negate in the form of the Regenesis Sage. Then the most recent addition for the Archfiend family is the Matador Archfiend. So you get to Ritual summon this card with Ritual of Matador, which is this card right here. And then if this card is Ritual summoned, you get to add 2 Archfiend cards from the deck to the hand, except itself. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of the turn, doesn't matter. You can only use the effect once per turn. It can't be destroyed by battle. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. And then after damage calculation, if this card battles a monster, you destroy that monster. And if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. The irony is, this is a better illusion monster than the heck out monsters right now, because at least with the even all illusion monsters now that I think about it, but it's like at least this kills what it attacks with battle or gets attacked by battle, whereas the illusion monsters just say okay cool and just absorb the hit and bounce them back. Anyway, we also play the one Ritual Matador. You only need to play one of each. The reason for that one is that they can both be searched off a preparation of rights as they both list each other. So this one lets you Ritual summon Matador Archfiend, tribute monsters from the hand or field whose total levels equal specifically 6 or more, which is really nice. You banish this card from the graveyard to special on a non-ritual archery monster from the hand. Now, the issue with that, you still get access to like your Regenesis Archfiend if you don't have access to it, which is nice. But you also get access to Duke Archfiend. The only one you can't get access to, which is still quite useful, is your your Highness, because this one specifically only triggers on normal summon. Moving on to the rest of the Archfiend cards, we're on 3 of the Archfiend strategy. So Fiend monsters in the extra monster zone gain 1,000 attacks, so that just buffs straight away your Archfiend Emperor, which is really nice. But then on top of that as well, you get to use one of the following effects. Banish a Fiend monster or an Archfiend card from the hand or grave to add an Archfiend card from the deck to the hand, except a field spell. You can add an Archfiend Pendulum monster from your deck face up to your extra deck. So that's how you're going to be able to get access to, even if you don't see your Archfiend Emperor, it lets you put this in the extra deck. And this is what I'm saying, like right now, you could play 3 of this and just 1 of this if you wanted to go first. But going second, if you see this card, you're like, ooh, okay. And you can get it out, you put it in the scale, use its scale effect, trade 1 for 1. And then this goes into the extra, face-off extra deck, and you just build on from there. How do you get it out of the face-off extra deck? Well, I'm about to show you in the form of Throne of the Archfiends. So Ritual summon an Archfiend Ritual monster from the hand, face-up extra deck, graveyard, or banishment by treating monsters from the hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed its level. During the standby phase, if you have an Archfiend Emperor face-up in your extra deck, you get to add this card from the graveyard or banishment back to the hand. So if your opponent does out your Archfiend Emperor, you just get to add this back again and you just go again. Then 3 preparation of rights. So because this mentions Archfiend Emperor, you can search out Archfiend Emperor with Throne. And then you can also search out your Matador. The chances are the first preparation of right is going to search out your Matador, because then the Matador just nets you more advantage. Especially if you're going first. You only really want to focus on your Archfiend Emperor. Again, as I mentioned, going second, which, like I said, probably consider cutting that down now if you wanted to. Then for the Regenesis, we're on 3 of the Regenesis Archfiend, so this is like the biggest bridge of all of it for the pure fact that it's just an Archfiend monster. Yes, of course, this is still the best starter for the Regenesis, because you get to, on summon, it lets you search out a Regenesis card, so you can get Code, or you can get Regenesis, or you get your Omni Negate in the form of the Sage. You could also get your Aggressor in the form of the Lord. You don't have to play the Lord, and this is where I've kind of, if you want to rely on the extra deck a little bit more specifically, you could play the Fallen and the Virtuous, you could play Super Polarization, you could play Ash Blossom in the main deck if you wanted to, but the idea is you're getting monsters at a 2500 attack or defense, you've got your Reveal fodder, you've got your Summon fodder, you've got everything else you need fodder. You could also afford to side out alongside the Regenesis Lord, the Warrior, and the Dragon, but I just quite like these utility cards that give you that ability to deal with monsters, to deal with spells and traps, but then to also be able to return themselves from the graveyard back to the hand during your opponent's end phase. Just means that if they completely wipe your field and you're like, okay, cool, end phase, add back, and off you go. Then we're playing free Regenesis. So this card just lets you take a Regenesis monster from the deck and either add it to the hand or send it to the graveyard. 99.999% of the time you're going to be adding from the deck to the hand. So if you've already got a Regenesis Archfiend or a monster that is a Regenesis monster, you're probably going to go for Sage. Otherwise, you're going to go for your Regenesis Archfiend. Then we've got the one Regenesis code. Now you can play the one-off traps in this deck, being the Regenesis Birth and also the Archfiend. I think it's Howl. But that's entirely up to you. I did originally design this build to go second, which is why there's still 3 Emperor. But again, if you wanted to get the balance right, you'd take out 2 Emperor and you'd put in 1 Howl and you could put in 1 Birth if you wanted to as well. Then the other supporting package, which just works like a treat in this deck, is free Dogmatika Flordelis the Thunderbolt. So during the main phase, if a monster special from the extra deck is on the field, you get a quick event to special on this card from the hand. If this card is special from the hand, you get to set a Dogmatika trap from the deck. It can be activated this turn while your opponent controls a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster with 2,500 or more attack. So it's a little bit specific, which is why I didn't want to clog down with more than one Dogmatika punishment. But the idea is it's got the 25 stats, so it can be on the field, and then all of your other Regenesis can just enter the field of play. But it can also be revealed in the hand, and then that will get you your Regenesis Archfiend into play. It's also a level 8, so that can be very easy tribute fodder as well for your ritual plays. Then the final cards that I'm playing is free Forbidden Droplet. Sorry, not free Forbidden Droplet. 2 Forbidden Droplet and 1 Forbidden Crown. The idea behind this one is that you could play free Forbidden Droplet if you wanted to. I like the idea that Crown can be a single lockdown without having to send anything, or it can be a very nice protector for one of your monsters, which a lot of people will undervalue how good that can be. There's, of course, you do have Forbidden Droplet, but the idea is that you can only activate 1 Droplet per turn, and in a world, you're probably going to go activate a Droplet, set a Droplet. If you see multiples, it's absolutely fine, but you kind of also want to regain some resource, and your Droplet is going to be the most effective to regain your resource when you use it during your opponent's turn, because even if your opponent went Dark Ruler no more, you go, cool, activate Forbidden Droplet, send your Regenesis monsters, they'll all come back during the end phase. And then finally, we've got 2 Pot of Extravagance and 1 Foolish Burial. Like I said, I'm still not completely set on how controlled I want the extra deck to be. Like, the only control I need from the extra deck is that I have a target to send off a Dogmatika punishment, and then when you enter the side deck, if you are playing Ultimate Slayer, it's just that you've got the targets to send off of Ultimate Slayer. But then you've got Fallen the Virtuous, which is arguably a better Ultimate Slayer in certain scenarios that you might want to consider. So if you want to control the extra deck a little bit more and you do decide that you want a main deck of Super Polymerization or you want a main deck of Fallen the Virtuous, then you can open up the Pot of Extravagance spots, and it means you don't need to dice or roll the dice on that risk and reward of will you banish all the targets or won't you, and you don't really want to be playing free Ecclesia the Darkest Dragon, and you don't really want to be playing free Albion because you want to try and keep your extra deck tight as possible to give you as much range as possible. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now I'm just going to blitz through a very basic extra deck, sorry. Like I said, the extra deck is a little bit irrelevant. You can play some rank 8s because your Flordelis is a level 8, your Archfiend Emperor, I believe, is a level 8, and then your Regenesis Archfiend and the Dragon are also level 8s, but that's up to you. So if we've got Dogmatika punishment target in the form of Dragon Master Magia, it's just because I can play Dragon Master Magia as a 5k. You can play the 5-headed dragon, it does the exact same thing. We've got Meteorologic Aggregator if I want to negate something. I've got Malong if I want to return something. I've got Pack Bit if I want to push that card into the spell and trap zones. I've got Natis if I want to destroy that something. I've got Fossil Warrior if I want to leave a surprise in my graveyard for my opponent, but more times than not you just end up playing multiple Natises. Garura if I just want the draw and I don't actually need to disrupt or destroy anything, and the attack stat that the card I targeting is weak enough. We've then got the Tri-Brigade Arms. Now you could very easily, and I probably should be playing Malsar and Ferrijit, because the Ferrijit could put the Archfiend Ares back into the deck, which is absolutely fine, and the Malsar can act as a Book of Moon. So you'd play this. This is just another one of them targets that if you ascend this could then send the Garura, which means if your opponent has a monster that is stronger than 1,500, you send this instead, and then this would send the Garura, and you still get the draw. But yeah, I still feel I probably should be putting Ferrijit and Malsar in here, now that I think about it, but you've got that flexibility if you want to. The Almirage is probably one of the ones that you might actually summon. So this is if your Duke Archfiend gets interacted with, you just link it off and go into the Almirage. But if that happens, you've probably not got much more to help you extend. Muckraker, just a generic Fiend Link 2 that can allow you to discard and revive. IP Masquerena into SP Little Knight, Bao Q, Underworld Goddess, and Typhon. But like I said, these are all just one of examples. You can choose to max these out if you wanted to. The idea with Underworld Goddess is it just helps you out towers. Not that you can't do that with Regenesis Lord and even your Archfiend Emperor, but it just gives you a bit more of a flexibility that your opponent might not expect it or see it coming. But again, flex spots, open them up, change them around as you need to, see fit to, and everything else in between. For a side deck right now, like my side decks are a bit of a mess, but you could start considering stuff like your Bestials could be quite useful for you depending on where you're going and what format you're in. You'd be looking at ways to stop Radiant Typhoon deck, so maybe your Magic Deflectors or anti-magic arrows. You'd be looking at possibly a counter trap card, whether that be Iron Thunder, whether that be like a Judgment and Warnings or Strikes. It's entirely up to you. You could play more punishments. You could also play the Birth and the Birth and the Howl. So again, just gives you a little bit more flexibility on it. And yeah, just kind of work it back from there, to be totally honest. And that is pretty much it for the profile once I find the Matador. There we go. That's pretty much it for the profile. So it's just an update that a lot of people have been requesting. They wanted to see a version that involves the preparation of rites. So this is kind of like the best build to do that with, because you do get the access to Emperor or Matador. You've already got flexibility in the deck as well. Like I said, these are not deck lists that are like completely restricted. You have to play every single card I show you. These are just ones where it's like, okay, cool, maybe you want to adapt it, go down this route. Maybe you want to adapt it, go down that route. There's just a lot of versatility and a lot of flexibility to give you a bit more creative outreach if you needed to. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.